This person asked, my extended family likes to take me on long vacations with them. I appreciate the gesture, but I don't like long vacations. How can I
Mm,
communicate this to them without being rude?
yeah, that's a good question, right? When people are trying to show us kindness, or maybe they are expressing love in a way that's consistent with their love language, but not necessarily our love language, it can
Mm,
put us in a real tough spot, right? Because we don't want to communicate a lack of gratitude, and we don't want to communicate a rejection of the love that they're trying to show us. But we also want to bring our authentic self into the relationship. Right? We don't want to pretend like we're somebody that we're not, or that we're experiencing it differently than we are, just in order to um, put a facade of intimacy or closeness in a relationship. And so the scriptures say that it's an honor to give an honest reply, right? That we're honoring others when we share the truth of our experience with them, as opposed to a something that's has the semblance of something good or flattery, but is not actually authentic and true. That we're smiling and we're accepting, even though inside we're like, this is terrible. I don't want to be gone for a week, or I don't want to go do these things. Um, so I would encourage you to try to have a candid and open conversation that expresses your whole heart. It says, listen, I love you, and I appreciate your desire to include me and to have me be a part of these things. And I enjoy being a part of them. And not but there's a part of me that this doesn't feel good for, whether it's the duration of how long it is, or maybe some of the assumptions about what you should enjoy or should engage in, because of what the other person does, what they enjoy, and what they want you to participate in. So you go, I need to share with you how I experience this. Okay? Because I want us to have a close relationship, and I want you to hear my heart. I want you to know my love for you and my appreciation for you, and that some of these things don't feel very good. I don't really enjoy this. This isn't what I prefer. I don't want to reject your gift because I appreciate it. I want you to know that this part of it doesn't actually feel like a gift to me. It kind of feels like a burden, or it feels stressful or anxious to me. And so I'm wondering, is it possible that we can figure out a way that I can engage this in the things that I can feel good about, that I can enter wholeheartedly into, and saying no to the pieces that really take away from the blessing that you're trying to include me in or have me be a part of, so that it can feel good all the way around for me and for you.
right.
So that.
Yeah. We talk about this every week, just the importance of communication and like
Mhm.
sharing your heart and sharing your feelings and how important that is. Cause it's like, you know, I could be in the same situation as a homebody where I don't really want to go on vacation with my extended family. But if I don't
Mhm.
tell them that, they don't know.
Right, right, and they can, in the silence, people can get the wrong impression,
Mm.
that they can not really know what it is. Maybe they have a sense that something is off, or a sense that maybe there's a part that you don't enjoy, and uh, those blank spaces can get filled with all sorts of explanations that may be really different from the truth of your heart. So it's really better for you to fill in that blank with just the truth and the reality of your heart and what you are experiencing.
Yeah, so true. I think of just the times where people don't communicate with me and I'm kind of left to just make my own assumptions that are
Hmm.
sometimes so far from the truth. But,
Yeah.
like you said, in the silence, like I, assume what I feel like is being communicated to me, even if it's not.
Yeah. And sometimes we assume our worst fears,
Yeah.
right? Kind of assume that thing that we fear is what's going on. And it may be our fear getting projected onto the situation instead of reality of what the other person is thinking or feeling.
Oh, so true. And I didn't even think about that, but I feel like I do typically go to like worst case scenario. This is what
Mhm.
that person thinks of me.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of a thing that we do.
I know it. I know it. Well, awesome. That is such a great answer. Really good practical advice to just sit down and communicate about it. And I mean, it can be hard to take that step, but I feel like every time that I've
It's
taken that
scary.
step to have those hard conversations, I've never regretted it.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be scary being vulnerable
Mm.
like that and kind of putting yourself out there. You know, that vulnerability is a prerequisite to intimacy in the relationship, but it also is risky by definition. That something isn't vulnerable if there's no risk involved in it. But it's that emotional exposure of like it's gonna impact me if you don't receive this well. You know, it's gonna hurt. And so I'm putting myself out there in a way that I can't control how you respond to it. And if you don't respond to it the way I would hope, it's going to hurt. That's what makes it a vulnerable thing. But without that, we can't have intimacy. That intimacy, there's this kind of cheesy definition for intimacy that I like to use. It says that intimacy is into me see. Pretty cheesy, right?
I get it. I've
Intimacy.
heard it.
Yeah, yes, it's the idea that we allow people to see into us.
Mm.
Right? So as this person's asking in this question, they're going, you know, there's this part of my experience, this part of who I am, that the people in my family who are inviting me on these trips and wanting to include me in these things that they don't know. Like they think that it's all good for me, but there's actually a part of my experience that doesn't feel good, and they don't know that. They don't see into me. And since God hasn't given us like X-ray vision or the ability to do like a Vulcan mind meld, right? We can just kind of grab their head and know their thoughts. The only way that others can actually see into us is if we use our words to share what's going on inside of us. An intimate relationship is really what God desires us to have with one another. And it's also what he desires to have with us. Right? That the word in Hebrew for this intimacy concept is yada, and Old Testament means to know. You see it in Genesis with Adam knew Eve, and we think about that and the sexual connotations of it, but it has a broader experiential knowledge and knowing of a person. Jeremiah uses the same word. He talks about you knowing the thoughts and intents of my heart and the number of hairs in my head. The psalmist talks about you knowing me while I was still in my mother's womb. It's yada that's being used there. The idea is that God knows us completely and fully. He sees us. He sees into our heart. He knows our thoughts. He knows our motives and emotions. In the New Testament, the language changes and it's gnosko is the Greek word. And the scriptures say that Jesus came that we might gnosko the Father, right? That we might know him, that he reveals the Father to us. And the picture is that not only does God know us and see us, but he wants to be known by us. He wants us to see into his heart and to know him. And he reveals himself to us. How?
Holy Spirit.
Yeah, and with his words,
Yeah.
right? That he uh, has through his word revealed his heart to us, and
Mhm.
that's a way that we know him is because of how he shared himself through his word. And for us in an intimate relationship, it's the same way. Like it's going to be very difficult for me to know you, Tori, without you using your words to share what's going on inside of you. I mean, I can guess about what you're thinking or what you're feeling, but I can't really know you
Right.
unless you use your words to share yourself with me. So we gotta be mindful of that in our close relationships, right? That if we want our family to know us, if we're gonna have healthy intimate relationship, we're gonna have to use our words to share ourselves in those relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that advice and just everything that you just talked about can relate to this, question regarding, talking to your extended family about long vacations, but also marriage and your relationship going
Totally.
forward and
Mhm,
all of these different things. I think that that concept is so important, and it's so simple. And
mhm,
I feel like I tend to complicate it, and it's so simple that we are fully known and fully seen
mhm.
and fully loved. And
Yes.
that is what the Father wants from us as well, for us to
Yeah.
know him and love him.
I think there's that piece in there that you mentioned about being fully loved that's super valuable and important because I can't be accepted by you, Tori, in the parts of me that I don't share with you. Like maybe you would accept me in those things if you knew, if I allowed you to see into me and know those things. But if I don't share that with you, it prevents you from being able to accept me. And so that by default, I'm not accepted. Not because you wouldn't be willing to accept me, but because I haven't given you the opportunity to accept me. And so we can be in this place in relationship where we feel rejected, we feel unaccepted, we feel unknown, we feel isolated, we feel lonely. We haven't given people the opportunity to accept us because we haven't really shared ourselves with them.
Yeah, gone into that
This
whole.
is scary. It's vulnerable, right? They might not. If I share myself, it's possible that they might reject me. They might not accept me. If I don't share myself, I don't give them the opportunity to accept me. And the end result is being unaccepted and not feeling loved, not feeling that acceptance.